Kidding. All right, so here we are, episode 2, Lost Signal Podcast, with our great guest, Joe Gorecki.
Welcome to the show.
Absolutely, good to be here.
Man, I've been excited for this. I know Joe's been excited. He texted me earlier today, and he was like, "Man, I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited." And I was like, "Me too." And I've known Joe since 7th grade, is what I can think of.
Yeah.
And that would have been 32 years.
Oh my Lord. That is crazy to hear it.
That I have known you. I've known you for 32 years now.
We'll call it 12.
Sounds great. Yeah. Yeah. 32 years I've known Joe. Wow. And he's been a friend for the whole time. And even in through the times that he's going to talk about today, he's been a good friend. So just a little bit about your childhood. I mean, we don't have to go from birth to, now, but, where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school?
Yeah. So, I was born here in Marion. I was raised over in East Marion. Went to Marion Elementary, all the way through 6th grade. Mm-hmm. Pretty normal childhood. I would call it pretty average, pretty middle class. I mean, we never really needed for anything. Yeah. Now, as I got older, I was like, wow, they were struggling.
Yes.
And I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They were good at hiding that.
Yes.
So, yeah, man, went to junior high and high school around here. Nothing really sticks out or is bad about anything, growing up. Anyway, it was all good and normal, and everything was good.
Okay. You were that straight A student
up until 7th grade. 7th grade is where that whole being able to switch among classes.
The whole middle school.
I was like, oh, that's freedom.
Yes,
that's what that is.
Yeah.
And I started to kind of rebel a little bit, like just not listening to teachers or getting in a little bit more trouble, trying to be the class clown. I was usually successful at it.
Very. I remember well.
So in when you went to middle school, you started to, that rebellious kind of started. So what kind of take us along that, when you started that chapter of middle school, how did that go for you?
So, I was always, full of energy, I guess. Never really could sit still. I guess you'd say I was a ADD or ADHD, whatever kid.
Yeah.
I was just bouncing around all the time. But 7th grade, I just, it was like something kind of clicked in me, and I was like, well, I think it's time I had a little bit more fun. And I can actually kind of remember that feeling, I guess you would say. They were doing the trips down to Florida, when you're in 7th grade. I didn't get to go because of my behavior. It was awesome. But things like that started, and I was like, man, this is, I'm getting to do more. I'm getting to be out more. And for me, that meant, expanding my world and expanding my connections and having more fun, having more people, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's what it morphed into from that point. 8th grade was pretty average for me. Nothing really sticks out. I do remember in 8th grade was the OJ trial. I remember that because I was in Mr. Hughes's class, and I had an FM radio with one headphone. And while Mr. Hughes was teaching, I remember I had my right side to him and my left side was away. And I was listening to the OJ trial on an FM radio in 8th grade, waiting for the verdict. And he was like, "You need to take that out of your ear." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, sure."
Sorry about that.
Yeah. I was the only idiot listening to the OJ trial. in 8th grade.
That's funny. So did the, I don't want to call it trouble, but did that continue on into high school?
Oh,
as well?
yeah. So the first time that I can remember ever trying anything or doing anything, I was about 14. And I'm pretty sure I remember the first thing I ever did was drink. And I got drunk off 2 beers, which was funny looking back now. But I was 14. And it wasn't long after that I got high too. Smoked marijuana. And nothing was really bad happening. At the time, the people that I was hanging out with, this was early high school. Late junior high. Kind of everybody was doing it, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people I hung around with anyway, not everybody, but a good bit. And it was almost like kind of my way of fitting in, but at the same time, I can't lie. Like, I have a lot of fun moments that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, dying laughing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, kid stuff, but it was still funny.
Yeah.
But, I didn't know at the time that I was just kind of setting myself up, for down the road for it to be a lot worse.
Right.
So then, around high school when I was driving, I started doing a little bit more. I was a little bit more wild, I would call it. There was a couple times I was drinking real heavy before class, and that's really dumb. I did that maybe 10 times the whole time I was in high school, from like 10th to 12th grade. Stupid. Never really had fun with it. It was just so I could be like, yeah, man, I'm drunk, which is lame.
Did you get caught?
No.
Nobody ever
Wow.
noticed.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
No,
They were really paying attention to us.
yeah. Well, we could get away with a little bit more than they can now.
Yeah, no kidding.
We burned all those bridges for them.
Yes.
So,
Kids
Yeah.
these days.
yeah. They don't even know what they're doing.
Got it rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was high school itself was pretty low key. Everything kind of ramped up the year that I graduated high school. That was where it started to really get bad, I would say.
Now, did you go into college? Because I kind of lost touch with you after high school
Right.
for a while.
Right.
And then I would just see you like, once or twice a year or
Right.
something like that. Did you go off to college right after high school?
I did not. So I had the grades. I had a really good SAT score. I was always smart. I just didn't apply myself. But after high school, my parents gave me a check, and they were like, just go fill out an application, send this in with your application. And the whole reason I didn't go to school right after high school is because I didn't fill out an application.
Wow.
I had the check and everything. I thought about that a lot, but thank God I didn't go, because of what I would have been.
Right.
It would have been a waste of money. I went to community college for a little bit. I did pretty good, but I was really starting to ramp up, drinking more. I would say for maybe a year or 6 months to a year, I was doing pretty decent after high school, but 2001, early in the year ish, that was when I really started experimenting with different things, like a lot harder stuff.
Like what?
So, the first time that I really tried something hard, it was cocaine.
And you were how old when this happened?
I was 19 or 19 or 20.
Shortly after high school.
Yeah. And the weird thing is, it's so weird to me. I can remember when I was young being like, you're going to be a partier when you get older. You're going to be a partier. Because I knew so many other older people, and every time I was around them and keeping them laughing, I can remember so many times people saying, oh, you're going to be the life of the party. They're going to want you there. They're going to want to hang out with you.
Right.
And so in my head, I'm thinking, well, I got to be that now.
Right.
Because that's what's
kind of live up to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was, I was trying to kind of live that out in a way. I was, I don't want to say that's the reason, because that's certainly not true. I was just wanting to go wild. But I still remember that very first night that I did that. I was at the lake. I think I was at Black Bear. And I was with a couple people. It was about 4 people. And I had never done anything like that. And I was really scared.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember trying it. And the first thing that popped into my head was, holy shit. That was what came in my head.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I hate to say this, man, but it was such an amazing feeling.
Right.
I don't want to call it positive because of what it is and what it does.
Mm-hmm.
But
it was very intense.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It was a sting to the senses, because I had never felt that before.
Right.
Wow.
And so that's part of, when you hear people say, chasing the first high, I mean, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Your first time doing anything is you can't never do that again.
Right.
And that was really a big thing. Like I say, I remember doing it, and then they were like, all right, we're going to meet up later. And I went home and took a shower, and I was like, I can't wait to get back out there and keep doing more drugs.
Right.
That's dumb to say, but that was my mindset at the time.
Right.
I was like, this is going to be fun. I'm going to have a good time with this.
Yeah.
And
that adrenaline and that excitement was just very alive.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It was very much, I was pulled in literally right away.
Wow.
Like that's, I can honestly say that the first time was definitely a hook for me, just because of my personality at the time. I had an addictive personality anyway. And so experiencing that feeling and going through something like that was definitely like, it grabbed me good, and then from there, man, it was just pushing a stone over the hill. I mean, in my mind, I thought, well, anything's on the table now, because if I do that, then what bad is it if I do anything else?
Right.
So, I never did any like needles or anything, but that doesn't mean that, I got away better than anybody. I basically, if it's out there, I tried it without shooting up anything.
Yeah.
And there's a million memories that come into my mind all the time about it. A lot of fear, a lot of, I was definitely hooked. But I was scared to say anything, because I knew how massive that problem was. And in my mind, that was insurmountable to explain to someone. that's what scared me the most was, God, I can't tell anybody this, so I'll just keep it a secret from everybody.
Right.
Only the people that I was with. So I didn't really tell any close friends or any of that, but obviously I pulled away from everybody. That was a big thing.
It's kind of like living a different life.
Absolutely.
Like a dual life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead.
Now, were you living that dual life?
Mm-hmm.
You were one way with the group that you were using with, and like your other group, it was like, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. But what was weird was the bad life was the major.
Yeah.
That was the number one. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Priority. Kind of a priority.
Yeah. So, I would be out with family or out with other friends, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to get back over here.
Your mind was always with that other group.
Absolutely. So that was, I hate that. I hated the thing, looking back now, you hate the things you missed out on, but I can remember that being a draw for me was no matter if I was with my parents or maybe even the kids or whatever, my brother and sister's kids or whatever. Mm-hmm. I was always thinking, when's my next party? When's my next good time?
Yeah.
And that was what I lived for. I mean, it was wake up, think about it, do what you got to do to get to that point. Mm-hmm. And when you're in that point, literally thinking, okay, I'm going to live this one out, but when's my next one?
Right.
Already looking ahead.
It's a hard, that's a horrible cycle. It's very hard to break, obviously. Mm-hmm. But that's part of one of the horrible things about it is, obviously you really do change chemically in your brain, but that's one of the worst things because that takes over everything that you think about. It's always about how can I get to this feeling? How can I maintain it? And then when I'm done with that, how can I get to the next one? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That was a really rough part of it.
So, were you working through all of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what was it like to hold a job during all this?
Very difficult. There were many times that I, stayed up all night or partied for a day or two solid, and that was really hard. I think, I was working with family some, but I also had another job working with a local man doing like equipment rental and stuff like that. And I was in a bad way, but again, I didn't know how to express that. I didn't know how to put it into words. I didn't have the mental tools at that time to say this, this, and this.
Right.
So for me, it was, I hate to put it this way, but for me, it was just be as deceitful as you can, as good as you can.
Yeah.
That's how you function.
Did the people that you work with notice anything?
Yeah.
Was it brought up to you?
Around the way.
Right. Nothing direct.
No, nobody ever say, "Are you doing this?"
Right.
But a lot of it was, "Man, what'd you get into last night?" Or, I can smell alcohol in your breath, man. Like, that was pretty common. Shamefully, that having people see that part because you try so hard to hide it. Mm-hmm. So when people actually do see it, you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Like now, in your mind, you're thinking, oh, I'm hiding this good. Nobody knows. Mm-hmm. And then the second that starts to crack is when you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
Now you may not express it externally,
With the internal panic
but you know it.
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, people are picking up on my lie. They know,
Yeah.
they know what's going on. They know they're starting to get the real me, because that's what you're hiding the whole time, is the real
Right.
you.
And it's like, how much do they actually know?
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
And the more you think about it, the more you think they know. And
Yep.
just internally, it's just
Yeah.
a battle.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
And that's literally every day. That is an everyday battle for someone that's trying to do it that way, you know, that's trying to maintain an outward appearance of having it together, but you really don't.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Now at this point, you're how old? Still early 20s, mid 20s?
So yeah, I'm early 20s. So around 2003, it was either the end of 2002 or 2003. I moved to Wisconsin, and that was a weird experience. That was just for me to get away and experience something different, because I knew I had to switch it up. You know,
was that an effort to stop
yeah,
all of what you were doing, or
it was mainly just to get away from drugs.
okay,
You know, and experience something different. So I was like, well, I can do this, and maybe just going away will fix it, because then I won't know anybody, or I won't know how to get anything, or
Right.
whatever.
that makes sense.
But the problem with that is that when I got to Wisconsin, everybody up there likes to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different feel than it is down here.
Yeah,
But I moved right in with that crowd, and so I really started drinking hard liquor a lot once I got up there, like a lot.
It's kind of a continuation of, in a way, of what you were doing before you moved to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And then once you got there, I mean, it's kind of it's a different animal, but it's the same. Almost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it was like, in my head, I'm thinking, well, I'm not doing the bad stuff.
I'm not doing this.
Right.
So kind of self-justifying.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is legal. I can do this. As long as
Right.
so Wisconsin was alcohol only.
Yes. Yeah, it was. I might have gotten like weed high a few times, but that wasn't prevalent up there.
Right.
It was more about bars and drinking and stuff. So I was up there 3 years. Pretty sure. Yeah. I drank a lot, and I was dating one girl pretty much the whole time I was up there, and I ended up being pretty crappy to her, and I regret that, only because of the human side of it. To me, I wish I wouldn't have made somebody feel bad.
Right.
Now, it wasn't like a physical thing. I hated myself. I hated my life. So I was pushing that on everybody.
Yeah, you took it out.
Yeah. So my truck blows up because I've never changed the oil. It was on a 2-year oil change or something like that. It was bad. It was really bad.
That's when you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. It had probably about, I don't know, 20,000, 30,000 miles on it. And
On an oil change?
Yeah.
Some good oil.
Yeah, it blew.
Some good oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, it blew good.
That sounds like wow. Okay.
So the motor blows, and I call my dad, and I'm like, and, you know, at this point too, she's like, I'm done. I don't want to be with you anymore.
Right.
And, you know, internally I'm dying inside.
But her being done too, did she drink as well?
Not like I did. I mean, if I would call her anything, it was average. You know what I mean? Like,
Drink here and there.
yeah,
Nothing.
it wasn't
nothing
ever
heavy.
Casual?
Yeah.
Like a casual drink?
Yeah, man. It was never anything like I did at all. Yeah, never at all. In fact, if anything, man, she was always trying to get me to not be like that.
Right.
You know, that was the source of a lot of arguments.
Kind of like
Kinda-
slow you down?
Yeah, pull back from
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. But So, you know, she said she's done, and I'm like, man, I'm getting out of here because I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
You know, so I called my dad, and my dad was like, I'll come get you. But if I come get you, you're coming home and you're not going back. I was like, yeah, that's what I want. So he come up there with the trailer, and he towed my truck back, and we were back home, you know, within a couple days.
Yeah.
And that was March of 2006. And this is where it gets hairy, man.
What do you mean?
So I'm home about 2 weeks, and a friend of mine's father ended up committing suicide. And it was actually 19 years ago yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the family wouldn't mind me saying, but I'm just not gonna. That's
fine.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah, I understand that.
But a friend of mine's dad committed suicide, and that was a real game changer for me. Like, it exposed me to a different pain that I had never felt before. My whole life, even when I was wild, I was always a fixer, but I wanted to be an immediate fixer.
Right.
So if I was going to help you, I wanted to help you do it right now. Get everything done right now.
Yeah.
And when things took time, or you had to make plans, I was like, you know, like, this ain't going to work for me, man. Like, you know, we need to do this today.
Yeah.
But so he did that. And, you know, my friend was having a pretty hard time with it. He wasn't really showing it externally. But so 2 months later, March, April, May, 2 months later, we have a little get together at my house, and it's literally just a small thing. It's like 6-7 people, and he's over there, and my dad's there. And like I say, it wasn't some kind of party, or it was literally just get together, grill out. And my dad was like, you know, son, I'm sorry about your dad. I hate to hear that. And my friend was like, yeah, it's okay, Mr. Gorecki. I appreciate that. Well, like a week or week and a half after that, my friend committed suicide. And this is okay. That's an absolute hell to experience.
Yeah. I was, not to interrupt you, I was blown away when I heard that. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, we all were too, because it was like, dude, you were just hanging out with us last week.
Yep.
You know,
like, it can't be real.
Yeah. Oh man, like the worst of your nightmares.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, bro, surely I got to wake up at some point.
Right.
You know,
this nightmare has to end sometime.
Yeah. And that was a real, for me personally, that was a huge catalyst in the way of pushing me back to where I was at before.
Right.
Before I left.
Yeah.
Through that whole nother level of pain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still carry a piece of it to this day.
Right.
But I think, you know, I don't know how I word this. I'm not one that's time heals all wounds. I think what you end up doing is you just learn how to deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's ever really healed. I think you just figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And especially when that's your only choice, you have to figure out a way, you know.
But, you're forced to.
Yeah, absolutely. So after that, I mean, things really, really spiral. So that's summer of 2006. I'm literally right back in the seat that I was in before I left. And I mean, if I thought I was bad before, it was really bad now. You know, every dime I made went to something. whether it was drugs or whether it was alcohol or everything I made, because I was living at home, you know, of course. I mean, there wasn't anything I could afford. I didn't have a degree or anything, you know. Not that that's bad. I didn't have anything else at the time going for me.
Right.
So, you know, I end up working for my family, and that was the only reason I ever had a job, was because of them. And that's another one that's really hard to deal with. I still struggle with that. The fact that I was working with them and the things that I was doing. I didn't realize how bad I was hurting other people. Like they may not have known the full scale, but they knew something.
Right.
I mean, we're family. You know,
yeah.
Somebody knows something.
They knew something was wrong.
And
something was up.
It's Marion.
Yeah.
The big city of Marion.
Yeah, you're not gonna hide everything from everybody.
There's not a place to hide there.
No. Pretty small town.
Yeah. And you know, things always got back around, stuff like that. But you know, I'm working with my family. I'm struggling, you know, mentally, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But while that's going on, you know, that same year in 2006, there was like maybe 6 funerals that year we all had as a group.
Yeah.
You know, one guy's dad and his stepdad. Another friend's father that had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and all this was in like within a 2 to 3 year period. We had like, oh man, it was like maybe seven funerals or something like that, crazy.
Right.
So it was just like bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Right behind another, you know, one after the other. And I don't want to use that as an excuse. I really don't. But I was already in a spiral. So it was just like, I can't deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It just kept adding up for me personally. And that was a really, really hard time. I mean, and to be quite honest, from 2006 to 2009, I don't really have much of a memory.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I know that I was wild. I mean, I remember doing things, but you know, I can't really specifically point to anything that I did, anywhere I was at, anything like that, anything crazy.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of like a block.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know what was going on, but I just wasn't there for it. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
You know, not now. I can't recall it now.
Yeah.
Kind of absent from that.
Yeah.
Those few years.
Yeah, that was an autopilot.
Yeah.
A wild autopilot. Just
Mm-hmm.
party as hard as you can, see what happens.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Now, when did people really start taking notice? I mean, I guess it would be family first more than.
Yeah. So around 2009, I was getting ready to join the Army. And I was really excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this is crazy to say out loud. I mean, I've never discussed any of this, but this is the right time. So I was like, you know, I've not really done much with myself. So I'm going to be the guy that charges headfirst into that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was like, I'm going to go over there and clean house. I thought I was going to be Rambo or something.
There you go.
You know. Yeah. But that didn't work out. And the reason why, what's crazy is I got in such good shape. You know, I could jump up off the couch and go run 5 or 6 miles at that time.
Wow.
Nuts. Yeah. It was nuts. You know, I didn't even stretch or anything. I could just pop up and go.
Let's go for it.
Yeah. And I went to MEPS and everything, and I blew the drug test.
Really?
Yep. Because the weekend before, I partied with some friends, and in my mind, I thought my metabolism is so high, I can.
It'll be flushed through your system.
Yeah,
Then.
and it wasn't. And man, that guy was mad. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. And again, nobody's ever heard about any of this. It's kind of crazy. But so yeah, and he told me that, you know, his higher up, his boss was like, you know, F that guy.
Yeah.
And I agree.
Yeah.
You know, at the time, I agree, man. Nobody knew me, didn't know my situation. From the outside looking in, okay, forget him. He's gone. See ya. And that's what happened. It was they basically just made it like I didn't even go at all. Because I got sworn in, I guess, but I didn't get I didn't even touch boot camp.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How'd you explain that when you got home?
I told him that I had failed a drug test, but I didn't mention the drug, I think.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
Right.
And that was, you know, and I remember my mom at the time saying, okay, you've got to do something with your life. You need to go back to school. And and this commercial come on for ITT Tech. And I was like, what the heck?
Why not?
I'm going to give it a shot.
Sure. See what happens.
Yeah. So I call them up and they're like, hey, the closest school to you is in Charlotte, North Carolina. And you would have to go 2 to 3 nights a week. And I was like, let me go down there and look at it. So I go down there and, you know, I'm checking out the school and everything. And they're like, okay, yeah, we could let you do some things online, but for the most part, you're going to need to be here. So for 2.5 years, 3 nights a week, I drove to Charlotte and went to school and come home that same night. Sometimes I stayed and partied.
Right.
But yeah. And in that time period, this was a wild story. I went out after class, which class let out at like 9 or 9:30 p.m. I went to the bar, and man, I was chucking them back, going out of style, chucking them back. And I went over to a friend's house and hung out with her and her boyfriend at the time, husband. I'm not even sure. And then when I left there, the lights kind of go out. And I come to, and I'm on the side of the road on 321. I'm asleep.
Like coming home?
Yeah.
Wow.
From 85 to 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm asleep. And I come to. The car's in drive. I'm on the side of the road, and my foot's on the brake.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's how I came to, was in that position.
Holy crap.
And a cop pulls in behind me. And he was kind of like tapping on the window. Dude, I didn't know what was going on, period. Evidently, some people saw me, and they called it in.
Right.
And,
Like, hey, check on this guy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So highway patrolman, he comes up, and he's like, because I'm pretty sure he could either smell or tell or something. But this is literally how it happened. What happened? He was like, cut the car off, come outside. And I stood up and wasn't really good. And he was like, son, how long have you been sitting here? And I said, sir, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know. And he said, let me tell you something. He said, your leg is so heavy. I think you just saved your life being a big guy because it kept your foot on the brake so that you didn't roll into traffic.
Wow.
And he was like, I'm going to do you a favor. And he said, I don't even think I should, but I'm going to do you a favor. And so I turned the car off, and he drove me over there to Hardee's off of, what is that, 42 or 41? There's a Hardee's over there on the west side of 321.
Yeah.
It's either River Road or 41 or something. So he drives me over there, and he's like, sit here. You need to eat something and get some water. He was like, Don't you go back to that car. So he leaves. Literally, he leaves. And I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah.
That is epic. And there's some old men in there eating breakfast, because at this point it's like 5. I mean, it's early in the morning. And there's some old men in there eating breakfast. And so I'm like, hey, can one of y'all give me a ride to my car out here? I really need some help, and, broke down. And they were like, yeah, sure. So one guy takes me, and he goes, I'm going to drop you off here because I'm not going to go all the way out there and turn around on the interstate and everything. I was like, yeah, that's fine. And I'm kind of in like some dress clothes in a way, because I always dressed a little nice for class. And here I am running to the car. I'm on the side of the road. I'm running to the car, and I get to the car. I mean, I'm running for maybe 5 minutes. I get to the car, and I see the trooper. He's back over on another bridge looking at me.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I can't take off, because then I know what'll happen.
Yeah.
And dude, this is crazy. A painter, some random painter from Hickory or whatever area, pulls over on the side of the road, and he goes, I saw you running. He was like, do you need help? And I said, yeah, I do. I was like, here's $50. I said, drive this car and have your guy follow you. Drive me on 40 and drop me off at the first exit on 40. He was like, I said, man, I know it's crazy. I know this sounds nuts. I said, I'm not trying to do anything. I said, just do that. He was like, all right. So he took the money, and that sucker drove the car, had his friend follow us, and we went to the first exit. He dropped me off, and I was on my way.
Wow.
And I went home. I went straight home. He had ran my license, and my license was actually suspended because I didn't pay some parking tickets. I think it was parking tickets from Charlotte or something like that. But yeah, my actual license was suspended. Wow. And not only that, but he knew that something else was, some drinking.
Could really have gotten you there.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he rightfully had and don't ask me why. I have no idea why that man did that.
Yeah.
To this day. I mean, that's crazy even saying it now out loud. Like,
yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, because he had you.
Yeah. Oh, man. On several things.
Yeah.
You both knew.
It's
yeah. Oh, man. Here we go.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
So, that's 2011-ish, 2010, 2011. So I'm not going to say straighten up, but I quit. I quit for just a little bit trying to be that wild. I was like, okay, I need to watch how my blacking out and stuff. But then I graduated from there. I got my degree.
Awesome.
Yeah. 2.5 years, got a computer network systems. That helped me. But having experience and that was really, really what
the value
helped me get better jobs.
Right.
So 2012, my uncle was like, hey, why don't you move down to Charlotte with me? And then you can really start doing some good work. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I moved to Charlotte, and things do straighten up temporarily because I'm worried about getting a good job. So I'm not going out.
Right. Trying to hold a good job down.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, this is my exit. This is my way.
Like, I don't want to mess this up.
Absolutely. Because I knew there was dollar signs in there.
Right.
So I'm thinking, okay, get this straight, knock this out, get on your way, and then you can pick back up down the road.
Still had that mindset.
Oh, yeah. So that's what I did. I ended up getting a pretty good job. Made some good money, got out on my own. And I guess it was the when I got out on my own, it just exploded again.
Yeah.
Not so much the drug part, but from 2014 to 2019, I'm going to estimate that I drank a fifth a day for that amount of time, at least for 4 years, if not for the 5. And there were many times that I would get like half a gallon and drink that on a Friday and Saturday, and then go back and get more on a Sunday. And literally, I mean, you know, and in my head, I'm thinking, well, this is okay because I'm mixing it with lemonade mix, with country time. Or I'm like, oh, I'm rehydrating while I drink.
that justification again.
Oh man, I was always doing that.
Yeah,
like I had bets with myself. Like, okay, if you lost 5 pounds this week, you can do this. If you get paid up on this, then we can feel good about doing this.
Yeah.
It was always a something like that, backward, and a give and a take.
Kind of a self-reward thing for doing something when it's like, okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Always trying to justify it in my head.
Yeah.
And then in 2015, I inherited a good bit of money. Let me temporarily back up. In 2012, in December of 2012, my grandfather died, and that was a big, big hit to me. We were really close. I was the one that took him to his doctor appointments and took him around town and you know, I spent a lot of time with him. That's what I don't regret. I regret being in the frame of mind I was in, but I don't regret spending the time with him because I knew it was coming to an end. And I remember just a few days before he died, I was asking the doctors, I was like, you know, is it okay if I leave, you think? Like, I don't want to miss when he passes. And he was like, yeah, I think you're all right to go on home. So I went to Charlotte, and I was there probably 2 days. And my mom calls, and she's like, I think you need to come on pretty quick. And something that's crazy, and I've shared this in my testimony at church. Me and him had a deal that when he got where he was going, he let me know. And I'm driving down 485 on the east side of Charlotte, coming south. And I pull over at the big Mint Hill sign. And this was like a minute or two after my mom called me. And I was like, that's it. I mean, that's the weirdest feeling, sensation I've ever had in my life. It was like if somebody took like a bucket of water and just poured it on the top of your head. That was what it felt like. It was just like head to toe. And then I just stood at the sign crying because I knew exactly what happened. And I called my mom, and she was like, he just passed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
And so that was a negative hit. You know what I mean? I don't want to say that accelerated anything because it was already at a point, but it sure was more justification.
Yeah.
You know, to keep going. Well, this is happening to you, so poor me.
Right.
You know. And that was a really hard hit. But then, you know, again in 2014, my grandmother dies, and I'm in the room with her, and they're like, "Oh, she's gonna be all right. You can go back to Charlotte." Dude, I'm gone 15 minutes.
Yeah.
My mom calls, and she's like, "You need to turn around. You need to come back." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah. She died in that 15 minutes that I was gone.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So, you know, I turn around and go back, and, you know, she was gone. So with both of them gone, there was some property and some money that I got that was always in the will. You know, My brother and everybody got whatever. And then I got my piece. So mine was in property, and I was at the time like I didn't have anything, and I was living in Charlotte, and I'm like, well, I can't keep this up. I don't have the money for this. If something happens, they're screwed. Poor people are screwed.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I need to sell it. And I had a realtor around Marion that offered me to buy it all, and I took the offer. I wish I wouldn't have now, looking back, but I took the offer. It got me a good bit of money real fast that I did not need. I mean, a good bit of money. And
I bet there was a lot of self-justification there.
Wow.
With that money.
Man. Yeah.
It's like, good job made.
That was at least for a good 2 months. I lived like a rock star, but it wasn't often. But I mean, I did. I really went hard when I was in Charlotte. The end of 2015 and first of 2016. But then, of course, at the end of 2015, I got my second DWI.
Well, when was the first?
The first one was in 2001. I wasn't 21. And I remember because I had lost my license for a year, because when you're under 21 and get one, it's automatic 1 year.
Right.
So I lost my license. That was when I moved up north. And I got a Wisconsin license.
Okay.
Don't ask me. Now you couldn't do that, probably.
Yeah.
But I got a Wisconsin license. And they were like, yeah, you don't even need it. You didn't even need insurance at that time when I went up there. Like, you didn't have to have insurance on a car. I was like, it's crazy. So
It's like, where am I?
tag my truck. I'm ready to drive.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
So
Let's get this party started.
so that was the first one. And the second one was I think it was Christmas Eve.
Was that the wreck?
Yeah.
The second one was the wreck, or the first?
The second one was, well, I wrecked twice at the same spot. 20.
What?
Yeah, so it's a tricky one. The parent I was living with at the time lived up Marion Street beside Pyatt Heating and Air, and I cut the turn too late, right past that rock wall where they fix all the cars. And I made the turn too late and took out that sign, and my car got stuck. Well, there were 2 city cops following me. Pretty sure everybody had a bead on me anyway. But the 2 city cops, so they pull they pull me over and they get out, and one of them's tapping on my trunk, and I'm still up there
Trying.
Yeah. Now I don't remember any of this. This was all told in court. So I get loose and I get it up there to the top of the hill where I need to be. And they come on up there and they arrest me in my mother's front yard. Yeah.
Oh, no.
That was yeah, right outside her front door. From like here to where the cars are.
Wow.
That's not very far. It's
No.
like, for the listeners and viewers, that's like 50 feet.
Yeah, it wasn't far at all. So
Did you just not know they were back there?
I was just blacked out.
Really?
And at that point, man, like nothing really phases me, because I'll get on I would get on a bead and I'm going, you know. So that was the second time I got in trouble. And those, it should have woke me up then, but like I say, I still had a bunch of money. I was still going hard.
Right.
And I was still foot on the throttle.
Right. Yeah. So, all right, you're on DWI 2. when did, and it may have happened on the first one. I don't know. I'm sure you've told me, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
When did they start, like, we're going to get you some help?
So they wanted me to do it pretty much, the whole time, from 2014 on, Now I will say in 2009, there was a little stint where I went to, it's a place over near the sheriff's department. It's the mental health place.
Yes.
I went to RHA.
Yeah.
I went over there and I was like, hey, I think some of it was court ordered, but I was like, oh, I didn't even know about this. I didn't know you guys were here. Mm-hmm. And I did pretty good in there, but also I wasn't really willing to put in the real work yet.
Right.
So
that was one thing. That was one thing I learned from. I mean, I didn't work too many years on the road like some officers did. And for viewers and listeners, I'd never arrested Joe. But
that's how we met.
Yeah, that's how we met. But you can stand there on the side of the road with whoever and offer them all the help in the world. Mm-hmm. But until they want it, mm-hmm. you're just wasting your breath.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That is the truth. The person themselves has to say, I've had enough.
Yes.
And that is the only time that's going to work. Now, you can, just to kind of fast forward for a second, for me, that happened on my third one.
Right.
I wrecked again in the same spot.
Should have tried a different way home.
Hey, I know. I was really trying. Wrecked again in the same spot. And this time my car got stuck in the ditch and the tail end was pointing up. And
this is the second.
This is the third.
The third time.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Wow. This is 2019.
Okay.
So, they pull over and they're like, what's going on? I was like, oh, I'm just trying to get home. And the officer was like, okay, do you want to go over here and go ahead and step over here? Mm-hmm. And I was like, let me stop you right there. I was like, if you're going to make me do field sobriety, I'm not going to do them because I'm just going to go ahead and tell you I'm drunk.
Yeah.
She was like, you sure you want to say that? And I was like, yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's no getting around it.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. Whatever I do from here on out, that's where it's going to end up.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
I'm drunk.
Yeah. So, and the horrible thing was my mother lives at the top of the hill and I was going to her house again because I was home from Charlotte.
Yeah.
Man. So she rides down there. She sees all the cop cars and she gets out and it's me. And I tell the cop, I'm like, do me one favor. Don't arrest me in front of my mom. So she actually don't. She was like, I'm going to go over there and tell her that she needs to leave then. I was like, please. So she goes over there and tells her, he's not going to let me arrest him in front of you. And honestly, you need to go back up there. Mm-hmm. So she leaves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was like she just leaving in general or she was coming down there?
She had a feeling. I'm telling you, man.
Mamas know, man.
Her feelings are on spot. They're right on.
Yeah. Mamas know.
And she said, I looked out and I saw all the car lights down there and I was like, oh, that's him. So that's how she come down there. But so the cop told her, go on. And she left and went back home. And so she arrested me, sent me to jail. And I knew the magistrate and he set my bond at like $5,000, I think it was, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I was lit. And I was like, man, you such and such, you gonna set my bond at $5,000? He was like, yeah, this is your third overall and second one within a handful of years.
Yeah.
He said I could do more.
Yep.
And I was like,
it's like, don't push it.
Yeah.
Yes, stop sir. Right there.
The little bit of sobriety I had, I was like, shut up. So I get thrown in jail. And again, and man, I wake up the next day at 6 a.m. or something, whenever they feed you breakfast. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's horrible. And, you get the boiled egg, carton of milk, a piece of toast and some grits or something. And I hate boiled eggs, but I ate this son of a gun out of that thing. I swallowed that sucker whole, man. I hate boiled eggs, but my God, that was the best boiled egg I've ever had in my life. And yeah, I'm in there for probably a couple hours, and man, the whole time I'm just on the bottom bunk, just staring up at the top bunk, and I'm like, this is all you're going to be.
Right.
So
now, were you still working and living in Charlotte?
Yeah.
By this point?
Well, at that point I had gotten fired. I had gotten fired from my job in Charlotte in June of 2019. Again, rightfully so.
Was it alcohol related?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was, you have to be on call in IT a lot. Mm-hmm. And there were just too many times that I was drunk on call. And
like, would you go to wherever they wouldn't answer?
They would call.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hello?
Yeah.
That's obviously not a good look. So,
Yeah.
And there were several times that my boss called and we would talk and I'd be slurring real hard. And he's like, man, you're freaking drunk. I'm like, oh, I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
why are you saying that?
No, I'm not. I'm coming to get you right now. But, yeah.
I'm on my way.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it was
no.
Yeah. It's like, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, man. I mean,
I'm just joking.
Yeah. And like I say, rightfully so, man. And then, they were flying me all over too, not to mention. So I'm going all over the country, setting up these little test labs. And while I'm, I'm flying to Pennsylvania, I'm flying to Oklahoma, I'm flying to Nebraska, whatever. And everywhere I go, I get a hotel with a bar. Not good. So again, I would get there, I would buy like a fifth of liquor at whatever store I found. And then I would work through the night. And then the way it would work is I would sleep the next day in the hotel. So when I would get off work at like 5 or 6 in the morning from working all night, I would just chugging them. Well, the bad part is that following morning, you need to be available if things aren't working right.
Right.
And there were many times things weren't working right, and I was just out.
You couldn't get hold of you.
Yeah. So there was a lot of little things like that just added up. And so, yeah, they fired me. And, I had come home, and that very last time that I drank, when I got my third DWI, I had half a gallon to myself within about 7 hours. Half a gallon of vodka.
Holy cow.
And then I went out. Then I went out drinking after that. So that's why I think it was it was high to mid 20s what I blew. I think it was high 20s.
Wow. That was the third?
Yeah.
You said?
2.7, I think. Or
Holy crap.
2.6, 2.7.
Now, had you attempted rehab yet?
No. Just like counseling, and that's about it. Nothing formal. No like official, hey, we're here to help you, stay with us.
Right.
That was what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a friend that was a bail bondsman. And he was like, man, I was just looking at the sheets this morning, saw your name. I didn't call anybody. And dude, he come and got me and bailed me out. And he dropped me off at home, and I was like, this is going to be rough. I walk into my mom, and she's like, I wasn't going to come get you. I was like, I know. She said, you need to seriously think about help. And I was like, don't ask me what it was, man, but something in my head just finally clicked right in that moment. I was like, she's right. I'm done with this bullshit. I'm done feeling like this. I'm done hurting people. I'm tired of upsetting my family. I'm better than this.
Like for real this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we literally lined it up, and I left that night. I think it was that Saturday or that Sunday night after I got in trouble. So I end up going to this place in North Wilkesboro. It's a detox center. And I'm in there for 10 days, which was the max you could stay. And that was what I wanted. I wanted to max it out. And then you go to rehab after your detox. Mm-hmm. While I'm in detox, though, which is a scary situation by itself, man. It's a weird environment. Everybody in there is for the same thing. Everybody's coming off of something, coming down from something. Wow. It's just a tense environment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Everybody's on edge.
Yeah. Luckily, this was a medical assisted detox center. So, night 2, and I'll never forget this. Night 2, they brought somebody in there in an ambulance, not with the lights on running or anything. That was the carrier, I guess.
Gotcha.
And they were like, we're going to put him here, you know, for whatever reason. Don't know the gentleman's name or anything. But he, that night, he had seizures so bad that it woke us up. And I told myself, I can't let that be me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I refuse to let that be me. And that was actually, I needed to see that. Mm-hmm. Because when I ended up finding out that he was just a bad drinker, I thought, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's my road, man. I mean, I'm there next.
Yeah.
It's like, if I don't stop now.
Yeah, that was my next stop. You know, I mean, he shook himself into the floor. So, you know, they called 911. He got hauled away, and I do my 10 days in there.
Right.
And what they do is, during those 10 days, they try to schedule you for inpatient rehab at some place. Uh-huh. They're trying to get you a bed, so to speak.
Right.
So while they're doing that, they get me a bed at a place in Black Mountain called JFK. It's a state-sponsored rehab center.
Okay. So
I'm in there for 2 weeks, which was the max that I could get, because again, that was all that the state was allowing funding for, was 2 weeks.
But you're like, I'm gonna take advantage of this.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna max this out.
Yep. So I did the 10 days, and then the 2 weeks, and then, you know, did everything I could. After I got home, I started doing my own AA meetings. Like, it wasn't required or anything.
Okay.
But I started keeping tabs of how many times I was at meetings, because I was in my head, I'm thinking, this is going to, because I did all this before court. Judge didn't order any of this. So I'm going to court.
You're like, look what I did.
I'm going to have all this stuff done.
Right.
So yeah, when I show up to court, I've got detox, I've got rehab, I've got 3 pages of 90 or so AA meetings where I've went twice a day.
Right. And it wasn't like nefarious or anything. You were genuine about this.
Oh, absolutely. That wasn't like, I'm going to use this to my advantage.
Right.
In my head, I'm like, okay, it will help me, but I also know that I do need this.
And just for you, if nothing else.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I knocked that out, and then, you know, I come home, and it's a weird feeling for a while. But I ended up getting used to it. It's, you know, for any addict, the longest and the worst thing is what your brain tells you, where it's like you can't, you can't ever be sober. You won't ever make it. You need this to last. You need this to have a good time.
Right.
You have to have this.
Right. It's in your mind that you think you have to have it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is totally a lie.
Yeah.
That is because you've chemically altered your brain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things are changing, and the addicted brain is telling you, we need this, we need this, we need this. And in all actuality, you don't. Like, you can function without any of that.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing for people now is to share that part, that it's totally doable. And and you hear the stuff like this all the time, and I'm one of those people that if I did it and if I can do it, I swear, man, anybody can, because I was such an addictive person. Mm-hmm. You know, even to this day, if I pour myself a glass of milk or a glass of juice, I down the whole thing. It's just, I'm always going to be like that.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just not liquor now.
There you go. Change it up.
Yeah.
Now, after you came out of all of that and did like that old crowd, were they still there?
No, because everybody that I'm friends with, they all know that I'm done with that. Nobody ever pushed anything on me.
Okay.
Nobody ever.
That's what I was getting at. If anybody tried to pull you back.
No.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, you know, for a while I was like, I can't. And I set myself like I think it was a year or 2 year timeline where I was like, I can't be around anything. I don't want to be around anything. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be around people drinking.
You intentionally created a divide, a space.
Absolutely.
Of like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, you have to.
Because you were genuine about it and you really wanted the change. Mm-hmm. And so you were like, okay, I'm really all in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You have to be. Otherwise it's going to fail.
Yeah.
So you have to set boundaries.
So did court order you AA?
Mm-mm.
You did that all that on your own?
Yep, did all that on my own. Absolutely.
Where was that at?
In Marion.
Okay.
There's quite a few different places and different times. Some of them meet online, some of them meet in person, but you can always find something to attend for sure.
Okay. Now, after you lost your job in Charlotte, and then it was DWI3.
Yep.
Where were you working in that time frame?
Nowhere.
Okay.
No, I took my retirement from that job and cleaned it out. I had to get caught up. I had about, just combined over the years, I had about $60,000 in debt following me around, which is gone now. I mean, I just finally worked it off after 5 years.
There you
go. Yeah, I just had a ton of debt following me around, and the only thing I could do immediately was clean that out, pay some stuff, get some cash, you know, and I did unemployment until I started working at the plant at Baxter's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What did you do for them? I don't remember you
I just worked on
there.
the lines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was literally November of 19 up until May of last year. I worked there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you did IT for them. I know you're big in with your church.
Yeah.
Tell me about your mission trip you just got back from.
Yeah. So we always go to Belize, and we take a medical and we take construction teams. This year, however, we didn't take a construction team because of the storm here. Just to be honest, that wouldn't be a good look.
Yeah.
And so they just took the medical team. But about a week before they left, I wasn't even part of the group. And I was like, man, this is eating me up. Like, it's going to be one of the years that I miss. I don't like this. I don't want to feel like I'm missing out.
Right.
So I'm sitting in church and I'm like, I think I need to go. And so I asked the preacher, the lady, I said, tell me what it would cost me to go, and I'll go. And she gave me a number, and I gave her the money, and I had my own plane ticket. I was able to get my own plane ticket because I had enough miles on my credit card.
Oh yeah.
So I flew down there for free, but cost me credit card miles. But
Right. Yeah. No big deal.
yeah, that was a good trip. It was all medical. It's amazing what all they do, man. For some people, that's their only doctor visit for a year.
Wow. And you said that was in Belize?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very remote villages. Some of these villages, just imagine a dirt road with 1 or 2 foot deep potholes, and it's 30 miles off the main road. That's how some of these are. I mean, it's remote. So, when you take a team in with all kinds of medicine and supplies, they're going to come. They're going to show up. And I had to be a part of it. I couldn't sit home and miss it. And I think that was my 12th or 13th trip down there. I can't even remember now. Yeah. My grandpa sent me on the first one. He paid my way. That was 2007, I think, or 2008. He paid for me to go the first trip, and I was hooked. I was like, this is a good thing.
Yeah.
This, kind of going back, that was like my balance out. Like, well, I'm doing this, so if I'm a little bad, I'm evening it out.
Yeah.
Again, making excuses,
Yeah. We all do it, though.
Yeah.
In whatever variant that looks like.
Right.
Right. We all tend to do that. Some are worse than others, or whatever. Fill in the blank. But a lot of times that's just human nature of, just self-justification for something. And I'm glad that you've come from where you were to where you are now, and leading up to it as we're getting there. It's amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So how long have you been sober now?
Let's hear it.
Yeah. So as of today, it is 5 years, 7 months, 5 days, 16 hours, and 13 minutes.
Heck yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Best thing I ever did in my life. I won't say it's easy, but I will say the work you put in is worth it, because I wouldn't trade being in the present moment now for any buzz of anything. That's not and maybe that's just time and maturity.
Yeah.
I would say that's some of it, but I never realized before that not living in the moment is a huge waste. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not present for where you are and what you're doing at that moment, that's a huge waste.
Yeah. Not physically, but just mentally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually being there.
Absolutely, man.
Taking it in.
Yeah. If you're
really
not
living,
if you're not enjoying it, or if you're not participating in it, then what are you doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I got super excited when you started working for the city, and I was like, because I hadn't seen you it had been a long, long time.
Yeah.
And we talked about this before, and I don't think you'd mind me mentioning it, but if I remember correctly, and forgive me, I'm old. The last time I saw you before you started working for the city was like, I'm going to say back in your heyday. And you don't even remember it from what you told me before.
Probably not.
But I walk up to you, and at first I'm like, oh man, there's Joe Gorecki. And I'm working night shift as a police officer, and I'm walking up to you. I mean, you're still a good distance from me. You're still 50 feet at least. And you're like, there's the effing police. But even though you said that, I knew what you were going through even then.
Yeah.
But I learned more what you were going through when I worked with your brother at East Middle.
Yeah.
So this was an exchange that you guys had?
Yeah.
Like, when he
on
seen
one
you?
night, but he didn't. I
Oh.
don't even think he realized it was me.
Right.
He just saw.
Just the police,
the
just
uniform.
yeah. It's like, oh,
And
man.
it didn't make me mad.
Because you had that understanding, you knew.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Yeah, it didn't make me mad.
Right.
I just turned around and, went on my way.
right.
But I found out a lot. I learned a lot about your life working with your brother. And me and him had many, many conversations because I worked with him, let's see, 2015. I'm not sure when he left East
I'm not either.
because COVID shut the world down in 20.
Mm-hmm. Beginning of 20,
Because
spring.
I was there then,
Was
and
it-
I think he had already left
Okay.
by then.
Yeah.
Now, you got your third DWI when? What year?
That was 2019.
So
August
It was
2019.
2019 because he came to school like furious,
Oh, okay.
and he was like,
Only I could do that. Yeah.
and he was like, yeah, he's like, he just got number 3,
Yeah.
and I was like, are you for real? And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, number 3.
Yeah.
But man, you may know it and see it now, but like in the moment, I don't know I'm sure y'all had numerous discussions in the moment, but he was a huge cheerleader for you, bro. He pulled for you every step of the way. And same here. I don't mean to tear you up or anything like that, but Joe, your brother, Jacob, he believed in you the whole time. Now, like I said, I don't know what conversations y'all had or anything like that. I'm sure y'all have had many,
Yeah.
but yeah, he never gave up on you once. He just said you was hard-headed.
Yeah. Yeah. We all have that.
And then I was like, well, I know he's hard-headed.
Part of our roots.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't mean to get you tore up.
No, man.
but-
I get upset because, I knew better.
Mhm.
And I really hurt a lot of my family for a long time.
Yeah,
I can't get that back.
right.
That sucks. That's one of the things that I'm always going to have trouble with from here on out is the time, number one, and what I did to people.
Right.
Because now I'm like, I literally, and this is no joke, to this day I still do this. I will be about to go out and be like, I'm going to go to the grocery store. And I'll think about something dumb I did when I was drunk in public. And I will literally be like, I'm not leaving the house for 2 days. I'm still,
Right.
like, it
Yeah.
just, it weighs on me that hard.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, you did that in public. Or like, you're so drunk, you fall off a bar stool. Like,
Yeah.
I think about moments like that, and literally I will be like, well, I've got enough food here for 2 days. I'm not even going to worry with it.
Yeah.
I got to let that feeling pass, man.
Yeah.
And it's like a very deep rooted, kind of a depressing feeling.
Oh, absolutely.
It just
Absolutely.
kind of shuts you down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does, man. That's
And you still get that to this day.
absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. I'll think of something like that, and even as far as like needing gas. If I run by a gas station and I'm like, well, I need to stop in there and get gas, and I think about something, and I'm like, there's an awful lot of people out there. I'll go later when there's nobody out there.
Yeah.
I want to avoid them.
Right.
Sounds like it's just kind of like random triggers. It just, it just pulls up a memory
Yep.
that you've tried to kind of bury in a way of, that's the old me,
Oh yeah.
but it's like it just keeps resurfacing
Yeah.
throughout just different everyday experiences.
Yep. That's absolutely true. And I've made the comment to several people that from now until however long I have left on this earth, I will keep putting space between me and that person. That's my goal. Is I don't want to just do a 180. I want to
Just keep on going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do the 180 and then climb the mountain and do
Right.
it 20 more times.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to make sure that part of me is dead and buried and absolutely gone. And a crazy thing that I never thought about until about 3 years ago, my sobriety date, and this was not on purpose, my sobriety date is my friend's birthday that shot himself.
Really?
Whoa.
Yep, sure is.
That gave me chills. Not even gonna lie.
Holy cow, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Dude, I didn't think about it.
Wow.
Never thought about that until, like, you know, I was talking with his mother. And she was like, you know, that's odd that your sobriety date is, you know, his birthday. And I was like,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
You know, and dude, she was like, well, maybe he had something to do with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy,
Yeah.
you gotta be kidding me, man. How did I not put that together?
Wow.
You know, but that's,
Right.
yeah, that's awesome. I think about that a lot. You know, a lot of forces were moving to get me right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I swear.
Yeah. Yeah. You had a lot of folks in your corner pulling for you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Whether you saw it or not in the
Right.
Yeah.
time,
Right.
Yeah.
really wanted you to come around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But getting back to, you know, when I saw you working with because I saw you, I guess you were in training one day and I saw you walking around with Jonathan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, why is Joe? He's working for the city. He's going to come work. And I was like, yes. And then it was soon after, you know, you left your job and took your job that you have now.
Yeah.
And so then I had no one to work on my computer. And so I was just out of luck for a while because I didn't have anybody to call.
Yeah.
And then I heard that I guess you had to go through like a training of some sort, you know,
Right.
and all that.
Right.
And then I was like, calling Joe. Like, Joe, man, I don't know what my computer's done.
Yeah.
But
See smoke signals.
But I'm telling you, I was super excited that you came to work for the city and that you're still there.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully you'll be there for a long time.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy it.
I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I really like everybody I work with.
Except when you look at your phone and it's me.
Hey, all you see is John Paget. Hey, Joe. I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah. Clear the rest of the day.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
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 Or I call you on a video call you and you put the phone to your ear. Like you did last time.
Yeah. I'm the tech guy. And he video calls me. And I'm like, you know, oh, it's John. Hello. You know, put it right up to my ear. And he's like, well, I got a good view of his ear.
I was like, oh, it's a video.
Yeah. That's what he said. He went, oh, it's a video call.
Yeah. Stupid, man.
We have an awesome tech guy for the city. Yeah. But
It happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I can't be more proud of you.
Yeah.
That because I ran into you a couple of times early in your sobriety. You would walk the Peavine Trail.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to like hug you. I was like so happy for you that you had decided to put that away and turn it around.
Yeah.
And I'm tickled to death.
Yeah.
I love it that I told everybody that you were 7 years sober, so I do apologize for that.
It's all right.
But you will get there.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're going to stop.
No.
But yeah, I don't want to keep you here all day, but
No, man.
And,
closing. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And I just wanted to say that, you know, we've not known each other too long, but after hearing your story and, you know, John's told me a few things kind of leading up to it, but, you know, he's like, I want Joe to tell you, you know, I want you to experience it. But I'm proud of you too.
Yeah.
I really am. That's an amazing testimony, amazing story.
Appreciate it.
And everything that you've went through to get you to where you are now.
Yeah.
And to be able to, you know, hopefully, you know, others hearing this and watching this, you know, if they're struggling with, you know, the same things or similar, you know, that, hey, it is possible
Absolutely
to come around to the other side and to overcome, you know, whether it's, you know, alcohol or drugs or fill in the blank. You know, there's so much stuff out there in this world, in this cruel world, that can just snag you and pull you down. But just after hearing your story, it's very inspiring to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's the main reason I wanted to do this, is because, if somebody sees or hears it and can relate to it, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that could be their trigger.
Yep.
That could be their stars lining up.
Yeah.
And that's, that's very true. Like I say, I was always the kid, the adult, the everything that lived in excess. Everything had to be 10 times more. I've been the guy hiding it from everybody. I've done all that. I've even, made all the public mistakes and everything. Like, I've been there, man. And every bit of that you can turn away from and make right. It's work, but man, it's the most fulfilling work I've ever done in my life. And I wouldn't lie to anybody about that.
Yeah.
It's the best thing you'll ever do.
The thing is, though, if whoever watches this or listens to it, if you help one person, you've done your job.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, people going through this or similar things, they know when someone's serious and they've been there based on things that they've said and experiences and feelings and thoughts that they've, had in their mind. Be like, oh, they're serious.
Yeah.
I've had that exact same thing. And they have that connection, be like, okay, this guy's for real.
Yeah.
And if he could do it, maybe I can.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Say, Tyler and I, we can't speak from any of that.
No.
Yeah. I can speak to after the fact of, like how you ended up in 2 wrecks or, whatever, things like that, and witness it then
from that side of it.
From
your point of view.
From my point of view of it. But like living it, I can't reach that person like you can.
Yeah.
Because it's like I said earlier, I can offer them the whole world, and if they don't want the help, there ain't nothing we can do.
That's right. It's
got
to
like
be,
you said it perfect until
they say
I'm ready.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I'll never. This is kind of off topic, but not really. I had a girl one day. She was on the verge of overdosing. We went to high school with her. I don't remember her name. I wouldn't say it if I did. But she knew me the second I got out of my car. She was like, "John, I need help." I was like, "Here I am."
Yeah.
What do you want to do? And I told her everything I could think of. I don't want it to sound like I talked her out of help, because that wasn't what I was doing. But she decided to stay with her drug of choice. Then me take her to the hospital. I was like, all you got to do is get in the car. I said, that's the first step. Just get in the car. And I can take you somewhere. She chose her drug.
Yep.
And I told her something along those lines. I was like, when you're ready, you call us.
Yeah.
And we'll come help you.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can't help you until you're ready to help yourself.
Yeah.
Yep. And it was sad. I haven't seen her since. I don't know if she's still around or not, but I haven't been on the road in 10 years.
Yeah.
But, I don't know what happened to her.
Yeah. You won't convince anybody. They have to line it up for themselves.
Yep.
You can present arguments. You can do this,
get them to think about certain things, or try and
I mean, you can relate. That's the best thing you can do is have someone relate. Because if I would have had more access to people that were in my spot, that might have been an earlier game changer,
right?
If that makes sense.
It does. I know what you're getting at.
Having access to someone that's gone through it already, but also I didn't seek that out. So,
right.
But in any active addiction, you're not thinking, how can I reach help right now? It's about getting the next buzz or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Really appreciate you coming on and this wonderful discussion and just hearing your story.
Yeah.
thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure, for real.
I've loved it.
Yeah.
I love hanging out with you.
Yeah, man.
So, you know how you talked earlier about whenever you saw Joe walking around with, I think you said Jonathan, or with the city, and how excited you got? Well, you had mentioned something earlier that got me pretty excited, but you wouldn't tell me what it was.
Oh, the surprise?
Yeah. You said you're going to have to wait.
Sorry, you won't know anything about this.
Okay. That's all right.
But
I'll have
you could experience it with
me.
it.
Yeah, you're getting ready to.
You said there was some sort of surprise.
There
and
is.
I've gotta wait.
Lost Signal Podcast is going on the road in May.
Oh,
We got approved to go to the Ohio 24 Hours of Appalachia.
Nice.
yes, sir.
That's
So,
awesome.
so I'll give you a little backstory on this. This is what you get for staying up way too late at night and scrolling on Facebook. So it's like, I don't know. It was literally probably 2 a.m.
Mhm.
And I sitting on the couch right behind you, and I'm like, I need to go to bed. And this thing pops up on Facebook that I hadn't seen before. I don't follow them, or I didn't at the time. And all it read was 24 Hours of Appalachia. And I was like, what is this? So click on it. And I read the whole article, and I'm like, this sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's a 24-hour endurance race,
Okay.
even though it's not a race,
Right.
because we have to abide by all traffic laws, which is understandable.
Yeah.
And this one was in West Virginia
Okay.
that it was advertising for. And I was like, and then after I read the whole article, it's like, click the link to apply.
Mhm.
And I'm like I'm going to get picked. So I click the link, fill it out. My wife's in there, gone, asleep, has no idea what I'm doing. And hits me back like the next day.
Oh, wow.
You're accepted to run in the 24 Hours of Appalachia.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, crap. Okay. So
This is for real.
Yeah. So
That wasn't a dream.
So I go to bed, or he sends me that. We go to bed that night, and the next day I tell her, I'm like, I kind of signed up for something. And she's like, okay. And I tell her what it is, and she was like, well, that sounds fun. And I was like, okay, you gonna go? Oh, absolutely not. So I'm like, all right, Tyler's going with me.
Yeah.
And so I was having issues with my Jeep, and I take it somewhere to have it looked at, and they're like, yeah, you're gonna need a whole new transmission.
Oh, wow.
So I emailed the dude, and I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
He said it would be a month before the transmission would even get here, blah, blah, blah. So I had to drop out of that one. And it says in post, you have a harder chance of being accepted again.
Right.
So I sent him a, nice email like, hey man, I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Heads up, I'm not going to make it
Yeah.
because of this. And I was like, and then they started advertising this one. And I was like, man, that's a long way. That's 6.5 hours. And I was like, what the heck? So I applied again, and it took days this time.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah. He's like, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had talked about it. I was like, no, it's probably
not
not gonna.
It's probably not going to happen.
Given that we've heard, immediately, basically the next day, and then this
Yeah.
one is like,
Yeah.
just crickets.
Yeah.
It's like looking
So
forward to
now
it.
you're going to have to take time off during the time of work where they don't like you to take time off.
That's all we're gonna say about that.
It's called the Buckeye Blitz,
I like it.
and it is a loop. So that's only one hotel.
Oh.
That's better
Yeah,
than 2 locations like the West Virginia one was.
we like Sam and Frodo. I feel like we're going in circles.
Telling you. Because that last one, it started in Point Pleasant, West Virginia,
Okay.
where the Mothman legend came out of.
Okay.
Was 600 miles across the state and ended in a little town called Seneca Rocks. The closest hotel to Seneca Rocks is 45 minutes back where you just came from.
Oh,
After driving 24 hours, why not just throw 45 more on it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Why not?
And so, but yeah, that was a surprise announcement. We will be hitting the road in May
Nice.
to head to MacArthur, Ohio,
All right.
6.5 hours away.
Road trip.
sounds real fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
It's
I
gonna
really
be cool.
I enjoy off-road stuff. So
Heck yeah.
We'll be bringing all you guys along with us for the experience.
we will definitely do a podcast during the event.
I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna.
It's going to be
happen,
fun.
but because I'm just thinking technically, I'm like, oh boy,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, all right, GoPro or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll
But
definitely
we'll figure something
we'll
out.
figure it out.
Yeah,
But that was a surprise announcement.
yeah, sweet.
Nice.
All right,
Joe, thank you so much,
yeah,
man.
thank you.
Thank you for coming on and telling your story.
Yeah.
I knew when you didn't tell me half of this
Yeah.
the day in my office, which is perfectly fine
Yeah.
because you were there for a job and not be there for hours. But I had no idea about some of the stuff that you talked about, and but yeah, thank you
Yeah,
so much.
absolutely.
And if you're up to it, we'll have you on again just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be good.
definitely.
Absolutely.
All right,
All right, that it.
that's it.
All right,
That's all I got.
that's all I got too.
Okay,
All right, we'll see you guys in the next one.
see ya.